Welcome back. In the previous part, tape very much confused me because I think I'm ahead of where the game is meant to be right now, and I was pointing out some evidence that will probably come up later because it's clearly relevant. But we won't get into that now. But we need to present right now the rubber glove, because that was used to make it so they could get into, what's his name? Detective Goodman, that's it. Get into his locker, because it wasn't actually locked. So, present.
Take that!
Found this near the locker, a thin rubber glove. But we can't be sure that was in the victim's locker. It has a tag that says SL9 incident. The video seems to depict the victim opening the locker. That isn't the case. The lit lamp attests to this. On the day of the crime, even I could have opened the locker. Wait, are you confessing? Is this not so, Officer Meekins? Sir, it would appear so. Sir. Oh, yes. Order me a pizza. So are you to believe then that the victim whom this witness stabbed in the evidence room was not Detective Goodman? Do not be misled, Your Honor. What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? The defense has merely demonstrated the possibility and nothing more. The victim in the video was indeed Bruce Goodman. The prosecution will offer one more testimony to prove this. What? Officer Meekins, please testify about this. Sir, me, sir? I'm not sure what you're referring to, sir. Oh, you mean that, sir? Of course, sir. Is this a joke? Very well, begin your testimony. Mystery man number 2. There's one other thing that proves that man was Detective Goodman, sir. To enter the evidence room, one must use their ID card. When an ID card is used, there's a record of it. At the time of the crime, the detective had used his card. So yeah, my video evidence from the previous part would be very, very good here, pointing out like, so how do we explain that? An ID card record, I see. I have the ID card record right here, Your Honor. The ID used at 5:14 is that of the victim. Just before the crime. Yes, without a doubt, this is the victim's ID. However, one thing does strike me as unusual. Several hundred cases should have been due for transferal. Why were there so few people using this room? This particular evidence room is only used for storing certain special cases. Special cases. Extremely violent cases involving police staff. Just hearing that makes my hair stand on end. Me too, although it doesn't make much of a difference. There were only a few cases up for transferal there, and most were cleared up by noon. Right, I see. Now let us move on to the cross-examination. What do you want me to... What? There's only one other thing that proves the man was Detective Goodman, sir. To enter the evidence room, one must use their ID card. Okay. When an ID card is used, there's a record of it. At the time of the crime, the detective had used his card. Mr. Wright? What do you think? I'm confused. What? The problem with his ID card testimony is far too obvious. Is it? It's not like Edgeworth to miss something like this. What? What? They're thinking too hard about it. Come on, let's show them what we've got. What? There's only one thing that proves that the man was Detective Goodman, sir. To enter the evidence room, one must use their ID card. What? No, because, yeah, at the point of, like, the time when he was being murdered, his ID card would have actually been, yeah. His ID card that we got here is found at the prosecutor's office at the crime scene, and the crime there happened at the same time. So his ID card had to be there according to everything we're being presented right now. So,
Objection!
Wait one moment, Officer Meekins. I'm not good at waiting, sir. I have the victim's ID card right here. I found it at the crime scene. That makes sense. When I say crime scene, I'm not referring to the evidence room at the police department. I mean the other crime scene. The underground parking lot at the prosecutor's office. Your Honor, I have one more piece of evidence to present. It's a very important clue regarding the victim's ID card. A lost item report. It's only half complete. Oh! It shows that Detective Goodman had lost something on the day of the crime. Something important enough to fill out this report. Let me guess. You believe there's something to be his ID card, right? Yeah. Can't say for sure, but there's a high probability. On the day of the crime, Detective Goodman was not carrying his card. Order. So now, what does this all mean? It can only mean one thing. It does not even require much thought. The man Officer Meekins encountered in the evidence room was not Detective Goodman, but rather the man who stole his ID card. Order. Does the prosecution have a response? I have only one thing to say to the defense. Bravo, Mr. Wright. Bravo. Allow me to summarize the defense's argument. At 5:15 on the day of the crime, the man in the evidence room Officer Meekins encountered was not Detective Goodman. There are two grounds to support this. First, the locker in the evidence room was already unlocked. Second, the victim lost his ID card. Am I correct so far, Mr. Wright? Yes. What's he up to? That being the case, we must inevitably arrive at a single conclusion. If the victim in this video is a fake, then the murder in the evidence room is also fake. In other words, the security camera does not show the instant of the murder. That is... well, I guess that's right. There's something wrong, Mr. Wright. Only moments ago, you seemed content to pointing around your finger. This isn't going to end well. Well. Seems you finally realized. Yeah, we've kind of implicated that the murder did happen at the prosecution office thingy, which is what we're trying not to prove. Exactly what you've gone to such lengths to prove. Explain yourself, Mr. Edgeworth. The defense has already done the explaining for me. The victim in this video is a fake, which means a murder did not take place at the police department at 5:15 on the day of the crime. So the real crime could only have taken at one location, the underground parking lot. At the prosecutor's office, the murderer being Miss Lana Skye, the defendant. The evidence is compelling. A trustworthy witness. Observe the moment the defendant used the murder weapon. Damn it, it played me like a fiddle. I knew that testimony was too shabby. It's all a trap from the beginning. He's done it again. He's done this before. The activity in the evidence room still leaves many questions unanswered. Yes, that one locker. That one single locker is bugging me. Why has it not come up? Who exactly was the victim Officer Meekins encountered? And where did this person disappear to? However, this trial's purpose is to examine only the murder of Detective Goodman. Just so, Your Honor. Mr. Wright, you have to do something or else Lana... What do I do? How am I supposed to get myself out of this? Object, obviously. Objection! One moment, Your Honor. What now, Mr. Wright? Don't tell me you object to what you've just proven. Of course not. But I almost walked right into the prosecution's trap. What are you talking about? This cross-examination has proven one thing and one thing only. The security video did not show the actual murder. Okay. Still needs the music. Ding 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 ding. Still that thing with that locker. However, it cannot be said that it is unrelated to the murder in the parking lot. Specifically, large amounts of blood traces were found in the evidence room. The defense demands further examination into the truth of the matter. Mr. Edgeworth. Yes, Your Honor. If this court were to examine this further, the witnesses will be necessary. Is this prosecution prepared? I'm sorry, Your Honor. The prosecution considered the incident at the police department to be unrelated. We have not prepared any of the witnesses for this incident. This just might be my chance. Time to call a certain Texas Ranger to the stand. Mr. Wright, do you mean? Your Honor, the defense would like to request a specific witness. Oh, whom do you have in mind? Someone we have reason to believe knows the truth. The truth behind the activities that took place in the evidence room. The prosecution requests to hear this person's name before deciding whether or not to comply. Very well then, Mr. Wright. This person whom you would have testify, what is his or her name? Well, it's obviously... Oh, I was going to say Miles Edgeworth, but alright then, I guess we'll go with Jake Marshall. Take that! Officer Jake Marshall. Why him? I can't let Edgeworth know everything just yet. He's in charge of the evidence room. I feel we should hear what he has to say. The prosecution agrees to the defense's request. Since he was responsible for guarding the room, we should hear his testimony. Fortunately, he works in the police department. We shouldn't need longer than 20 minutes to prepare. Very well. The court will take a 30-minute recess while the witness is subpoenaed. Will the prosecution please prepare the witness during this time? We will, Your Honor. Court is now in recess. February 24th, 11:32 a.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby, Number 2. There's no stopping you, is there, Mr. Wright? Huh? What do you mean? You called for Jake Marshall. It seems you figured everything out. Everything? I haven't figured anything out. Lana, you're the one who knows everything. Emma, you always know everything. Why don't you just tell us? Mr. Wright is trying his hardest to protect you. I don't recall ever asking for his protection. This is true. How can you be so cold? Don't you trust us? Don't you trust me? Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. I mean, you kind of are. Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later. Wait, he's actually got... Wait, Detective Gumshoe! What is it? I'm sorry. You've got a lot of nerve, pal, making a detective run all around while on duty. And to top it off, you call me here? I've seen happier people at funerals. Sorry, Detective. Better be, pal. Hey. Hey, I didn't see you there, Chief Prosecutor's guy. That's okay, so... Have you brought what I asked? Oh. You mean this, right? What is with him? My apologies, Detective. Due to my present circumstances, I was forced to use Mr. Wright's name when making my request. My name? Never in a million years would I have thought it was you who asked me. But I bother you to bring me the SL9 incident files. I'll need them by noon. Talk about crazy. The SL9 incident? But Lana, that's... I thought Mr. Wright might need them, so I had them brought here. Here, you might do well to read them. I can't believe you. The Chief Prosecutor were a witness in that case. Miss Skye was a witness? SL9 incident files received from Lana Skye. Take it from me. You don't want anything to do with serial murderers. Okay. Oh, what? And I brought you your stuff and you're just gonna ignore me? Emma? But why? Why is your name in here? What? My name's in there? I don't know. Unless... Let's actually read this. I feel like it's important. Closed, Joe Dark? Okay. Serial murder, sentence death. So, there's the name of the victims. Trial day, Miles Edgeworth, yep. Witnesses, yep. So, there's the investigators. There's Bruce Goodman. Investigators Marshall, Angel Star. Okay, yeah, this all makes sense. Stuff we know. I don't know unless... No, it couldn't be. Lana, is SL9 innocent? Is that... That's the classification number the police filed it under. 2 years ago, the rest of the world knew it as... Joe Dark Killings. The Joe Dark? No, Lana. That's over with. No. Emma, wait. She ran away. You know what? I just remembered. I gotta be somewhere. Sorry, pal, but I'm out of here. Jake Marshall, Angel Star, Damon Gant, Miles Edgeworth. Not to mention Lana and Emma. Everyone involved in this case is connected to those killings 2 years ago. This can't be just a coincidence. Knowing you just might be able to figure it out. Time to get back to the trial, Mr. Wright. Best of luck. I'd better take a good look at this file. I just did. To be continued. Right now. Right now. Yes, saving... Come on. February 24th, 12:14 p.m. District Court, Courtroom Number 9. Oh, yes. The court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. Emma didn't come back. Allow me to call the next witness to the stand. The officer in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day of the crime. Witness, please state your name and occupation. Me, partner? Oh, I'm just a man, same as you, wandering the trails of civilization. Occasionally, helping the elderly cross intersections when needed. Yes, we get it. Oh, I know. You're a patrolman. Oh. Yeah. As for my name, if you listen hard enough, you can hear the howling wind calling it out. To be exact, it's Jake Marshall, Your Honor. Howling wind? I've never heard Edgeworth described that way before. Okay. Now, Mr. Marshall, let me ask you something. You're in charge of guarding the evidence room on that day of the crime, on the day the crime took place. Is this correct? According to the papers, partner. What do you mean? A desperado's soul is as boundless as the desert sands. No paper can sum it up. Maybe it's best we get on with this quickly. Please share with us your testimony on the day of the crime. In plain old English. Yes, would be nice. Day of the crime? My job was to keep a wary eye on that bone orchard. English, please. They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. Besides, the room's protected by 2 security systems anyway. If I remember right, I was at a street-side saloon at the time it went down. You're at the pub. I'm just an innocent traveling man, so if you're out of ammo, it's time I hit the trail. I can't say I particularly care for your attitude. Can't say that I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining. Wait a minute. What do you mean by 2 security systems? I mean the security cameras and the ID card reader. I reckon even a cowpoke like you knows about those. Yes, well, what about the fingerprint-activated locks on the evidence lockers? Fingerprint-activated locks? What kind of newfangled doohickeys are those? It's not being very helpful. It's not that good with machines or with following orders. Everyone's got their weaknesses. Now, don't they, Mr. Prosecutor? This one seems like trouble. Okay, Mr. Wright, he's all yours. So the question is, what do we do? My job was to keep a wary eye on that bone orchard. They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. Besides, the room's protected by 2 security systems anyway. If I remember right, I was at the street-side saloon at the time it went down, but we got your fingerprints, mate. I'm just an innocent traveling man, so if you're out of ammo, it's time I hit the trail. Okay, I have a trump card up my sleeve, so I'd best keep my cool. Before I use it, though, I'd better up the ante. So I was supposed to make my rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. Right, we'll press him on these 2 security systems. You used to be a detective, so you've used the evidence room in the past, correct? Of course. Back in the day, my locker was a gold mine of evidence. And yet you didn't know about the fingerprint locking mechanism. Sorry, partner. Ain't good with machines. Couldn't even tell you how my bike works. That's quite, incredible. The sensors on the locker handles cannot be seen. It's well known that some detectives are unaware of their presence. Now that he mentions it, Detective Gumshoe said something like that too. At any rate, it doesn't seem like that is relevant to the crime. Can you tell us what you were doing when the crime took place? I mean, the only bit of evidence I've got that shows he was there is the fingerprints, so if I do this on this one, with the fingerprints... Officer Marshall, doesn't it strike you as odd? That is, you being called in to testify like this? After all, you weren't in the security room at the time of the crime. And yet, you dragged me down here. Explain yourself, partner. It's quite simple. You left a very large trail behind at the scene. Or to be exact, a handprint. This is some real good, partner. Like I said, I'm the caretaker of that crypt. I pay my respects, that is, make my rounds about once a month. It's only natural my fingerprints would be in there. I know, that's the only thing I was thinking. I only wish it were, officer. But you see, your fingerprints were covered in blood. Yeah, it's like, it could have lined up perfectly, but Oh, there's blood. Witness, what's the meaning of this? Your blood-stained fingerprints were at the crime scene. The blood was wiped away, however. A luminol test clearly revealed this. Well, Officer Marshall? It seems to me there ain't a person in this room with a head on his shoulders. I take it you have an explanation then, Officer Marshall? About the blood-stained fingerprints? Very well. You may begin your testimony about your fingerprints. Found at the scene of the crime. Like I said, it's only natural for my fingerprints to be in that evidence room. One of them just happened to be at the same place as the blood-stained handprint. Perfectly? Perfectly. The murder touched locker where my fingerprint was by chance. The blood stain and the fingerprint are completely unrelated. Why didn't you know the murderer was wearing gloves? See, I had nothing to do with it. The witness's explanation appears valid. But there's room for doubt. Life wouldn't be fun without any doubt, partner. The defense may now cross-examine the witness. This guy's hiding something, I can feel it. Now's my chance to prove it. Like I said, it's only natural for my fingerprints to be in that evidence room. True. One of them just happened to be at the same place as the bloodstained handprint. So then, what about the bloody handprint? Wasn't mine. It's no mystery. Please explain. My locker is covered with my fingerprints. True. It just so happened. The murder touched the locker where my fingerprint was by chance. The blood stain and the fingerprint are completely unrelated. Or didn't you know the murderer was wearing gloves? How do you know this? How do you know that? I may be a loner, but I still do my job. I keep up on the reports. There was a blood stain at the scene, to be left by the murderer. Thought to be left by the murderer. That's right. It was found on Detective Gumshoe's locker. However, no fingerprints were detected on that handprint. Oh yeah, I think we tried that too. So that would mean the murderer, wearing gloves, happened to place their hand on top of Officer Marshall's fingerprint. That's the only logical conclusion. I can't let him squirm out of this one. Got to find myself, got to find something. Something decisive to tie Officer Marshall to this crime. Like I said, it's only natural for my fingerprints to be in that evidence room. One of them just happened to be at the same place as the bloodstained handprint. The murderer touched the locker where my fingerprint was by chance. The stain and the fingerprint are completely unrelated. But didn't you know the murderer was wearing gloves? Can't let him squirm out of this one. Got to find something. Alright, let's just go through, press him on everything. That's all I can do, really. That's because you, how did you put it, pay your respects once a month. Yeah, that's right. That and one more thing. That locker happens to be mine. What? What do you mean? I mean what I said. I mean, this pretty much proves part of my other theory with like he did it and he shoved the clothes into his own locker then. Because there, that piece of cloth hanging out. That's the locker I used when I was a detective. The locker I still use. All that's in there now, though, is a heap of broken dreams. I see. It'd be strange if my prints weren't all over that locker. Apparently his fingerprint data was never removed from the locker's programming. He must have been using the fingerprint lock all this time without ever knowing it. Ooh, okay. I was starting to get the picture, partner. The picture? The seal of blood in the desert is just food for the buzzards. There's only one reality, and that's this. It's a security tape. So long as my trail isn't in there, you can't say otherwise. This isn't getting us anywhere, Mr. Wright. Please consider carefully where you're going with this cross-examination. Yes, Your Honor. Now then, continue your testimony, Officer Marshall. Too bad it wasn't me in that video, right, partner? That's new. What do you mean by that? You want to tie me to this crime, isn't that right, partner? If so, that video is the only direct evidence you have. But that video is next to useless. It's full of blind spots. Blind spots? Places you can't see. The camera's panning back and forth. The floor isn't shown. If someone was familiar with the camera's position, they could leave the room without being caught on tape. We don't have time for your speculations, Mr. Wright. Well, Mr. Wright, if you can show us evidence in this video that indicates Officer Marshall was present, please do so now. I know what I'm looking for at this point, because I think we've all come to the same conclusion here at this point, but we are going to end this part here. And in the next part, we'll show the evidence that I've been trying to show for a long while now. That piece of cloth hanging out the locker. So, we shall see you in the next part when we present that, I assume. So, we shall see you then. Ta-ta for now.